Yo, Grinder School, a long time no see. Guess who's back? This is Characters, and although you may have watched one of my videos last week that came out recently, I have not made a video for you guys in several months. Got back from Vegas and the States for my summer trip about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago today. And I've settled back down into life back in rainy Scotland. I tell you, the weather has been ridiculous since I got back. Went from like the scorching heat of the desert to horrible, like constant wind and rain, and like it's so dark during the day because the skies are so grey that it just feels like nighttime, and it's just overall like, pretty miserable over here. But it's kind of nice to be home at the same time. Today I'm making I don't have an idea for a new series yet. That's something I'm going to get brainstorming on pretty soon. But this is just a sort of live 4 tabling video at 50 no limit. Kind of tilted. Well, not tilted, but I'd spilled tea all over my headset earlier and had to go out and buy a new headset to get this video done. So, yeah, good times. This guy just like 4-bet's ridiculously huge. Don't know what that means. I just got it in blind versus blind with this guy. He was a $20 stack at kings. He had 8s. I lost. And over here, not much history. It was heads up with this guy when I joined the table. Got it in pre-flop ace queen against jacks and managed to win. So pretty standard so far. Nothing too exciting. I'm just going to take a note here because this guy makes a huge 4-bet with kings. And this guy likes to. I've already got some notes on him, but we're just about to say that he 3-bet jams 10-10 versus under the gun open, which is pretty loose. I mean, I don't like his play at all because this guy, I don't know, maybe they have some sort of dynamic, but generally you just want to be flat in 10s there because here, like, this guy leads at me on this board. He makes it really big. Well, he makes it pretty big. He hasn't done anything so far. Like, my options here are to raise or fold. If I raise, like, I can barrel some turn cards. This guy's range, I don't know, man. I mean, he could be donking out with hands like 7s, 8s, 10x, flush draws. If he's doing this with a flush draw, he's shipping over me sets. I'm gonna fold for now. I mean, he's just his sizing is fairly big. I don't really like it. I do have a decent hand to actually go ahead and mess with this though. So I mean, I don't think it'd be too horrible just to raise there, and then you can sort of bet like turn bet river on sort of like any king, ace, queen or jack. Obviously for value in the latter case against his 10x or pocket pairs or whatever. But you know, he's just the fact that he's done nothing so far. Over 9 hands, and he's like some supernova. He's probably like multi-tabling. I don't know how often he's just messing there, but without any reads and with a tight image over 9 hands, although it's not a big sample, I elect just to give it up for now. This guy's opening seriously wide, so I'm gonna go ahead and 3-bet bluff here. Making it a little bit bigger than usual, perhaps, not too big. Out of position, the open is smaller, so stack to pot ratio is actually better for him to flat and mind me with a lot of hands and stuff, so that's why I don't want to make it like just 3x there or anything. Make it like, I think that's the minimum, even 4x is good there. This guy, 9-0 so far. No information. I'm never folding Jack 9 in position blind versus blind. It's a small sample. Again, he can definitely be messing about like fairly wide blind versus blind, even though that's a small sample. He c-bets this flop. I just don't have any equity. I'm going to fold for now. There's better hands that I can float or raise there, like in my range. That's pretty much like one of the worst hands in my range in that board. So I'm not gonna mess about with it there. I'm getting back into the swing of online poker. I've been playing a lot of poker while I was in Vegas. Obviously, I played a lot live. Didn't do quite as well as I expected. I won a little bit, but I was hoping to win a lot more. But hey, ran pretty bad for a lot of the time. And at first that's playing kind of bad. You know, it's kind of difficult sometimes to transition to live because the games play very differently, especially full ring. Because as you guys know, I'm basically a 6 max player. But I got the hang of it eventually. My game got a lot better. My tournament game, I felt, improved a whole lot while I was over there. So not too disappointed, but could have done a bit better. But it's been weird coming back to online and just playing like so many more hands per hour. And this guy is usually check folding that board, but like the thing is, slow playing there and such a. I mean, if it was really dry and I just had to read these check folding all the time, you know, you could check back. But I'm going to be betting so much air there for one, and also the board's so wet. There's so many turn cards that just like make my relative hand strength suck, like any fourth or straight card or something like that. But it's certainly not too horrible to check back if you do have an actual concrete read that the guy's always check folding or something like that. But yeah, this guy here, he opens to 125. With twos here, I'm never really flatting him. It's just a pretty horrible situation for me. His range is really wide though, so I think I'm just going to make like a kind of committal 3-bet, and I'm going to call it off, because when there's that much in the pot, it's obviously fine to call because of the amount of just like high cards in his range. We've probably got like 40% equity or something against stuff he's shipping. Maybe not that much, but quite a bit, and he's going to fold such an overwhelming amount at the time that it's never going to be too bad. Here we're 3-way when we open under the gun. We do have some equity, but we don't have enough, in my opinion, to see bet here when we're 3-way. This guy's a very strong range, a lot of sort of pocket pairs here that aren't going to fold. When he checks twice so quickly, I think it's certainly possible that he just has some kind of overcards, like ace queen or whatever. This guy again, there's a lot of draws on this board though that either of them can have. Like eights isn't going to fold here. Sixes may fold. Again, like, do I have enough fold equity to bet here? If I bet turn, I definitely want to bet river to fold out hands like 8s, 9x, things like that. So I could bet twice. That's certainly an option. And the guy does check like very quickly. And when that dude doesn't stab, like, I don't think it can be too bad to take a stab here. Although I don't really rep a whole lot, but I don't expect them to mess with me all the way. I don't expect the net to ever really get out of line against me. And the reg has a player behind him to act and stuff, and it's kind of scary board, so hopefully I'll get folds from him. I have some equity, but my plan definitely there is to fire rivers, like obviously jacks for value, the kings and queens for value, and then an ace as well. So that's like a good amount of outs, so you're talking like 14 outs there that I can just bet and be plus EV. I think when they call the turn, you're going to be seeing like pocket 8s, 9x, 9-8, things like that pretty often. And I don't know if they're going to call a river bet with that, but I like firing too on those cards, and possibly even on flush cards and stuff, because I'd expect them to lead flush draws. So I can probably fire any flush card for the backdoor flush, certainly. I could even fire the flop flush draw, because people just don't hand read too well at 50 NL. And then the overcards are going to be good barrel cards for the river as well. So that was kind of my plan there, to bet that turn. May seem kind of light, but I think it's probably okay. I don't think it's like hugely plus EV, but when they both check so quickly on the turn, again, I just don't see them ever having like a 10x or flush draw or like anything that's going to be able to call river that often. So I think it's fine as long as I know that I'm going to have to barrel some rivers there when called. Just when your opponent's ranges are capped like that, because they check 2 streets basically on that drawy board, they're going to bet for protection and value if they have like 10x or better. So when their ranges are capped, you can sort of take more aggressive plan to the hand, and then, you know, I've got equity, and I'm quite happy with my plan for the river. 2-3 suited is just too weak, even for the min raise against a tight range. He's opening on the button as well, so his range probably isn't too tight. Just a reminder for anyone who doesn't remember how my HUD works, it's VPIP, PFR, attempt to steal, 3-bet, and fold to 3-bet on the top line. Then we have some flop stats. We have aggression factor, which is kind of not my favourite stat in the world, as I've talked about before. And we've got, but it's good if you have a large sample, that's why I have it there. Then we have the purple number is continuation bet, fold to continuation bet, raise c-bet, and then number of hands. Then we have turn c-bet, which again needs a large sample to divulge, fold small and big blind to steal. And this stat here, I don't know if I've talked about this much in my videos, but it's pretty useful. And the red number there is 1 win saw flop percentage, and the reason it's quite good is that when you've got a decent sample on a regular particularly, it gives you a good feel about how often they actually try to win the hand post flop. So not just when they have a hand, but you can sort of gauge that they might have a higher or lower frequency for playing back with air, floating, raising, trying to win hands and taking aggressive lines without, you know, the top of their range or the better part of their range. So the higher that number is over a good sample, like, the more likely it is that they're just going to be playing back at you basically post flop. This guy makes a min 5-bet. We're obviously getting it in here. I don't know why he's doing this. I imagine like he's never really like bluffing here. I'd imagine he'd just ship if he was ever going to bluff. He probably just has like a fairly strong range, but with all the dead money in the pot and me having ace king button versus small blind, I can never fold. And he has kings, unfortunately. That's pretty standard. It's really terrible to min 5 bet there, because I bet he never does that with like ace king or something. So that can actually tell us a good bit about his range in future. So again, like my usual strategy at these stakes, open pretty wide. Here we get cold called when we 3-bet. Pretty happy about it. Get a good board. We can bet like, we don't need to make this too big. I don't think like flush draws are a huge part of anyone's range, or straight draws or anything like that. So I mean, we could bet like 7 here, then there'd be 27 in the pot. It'd be kind of a little bit awkward. Or we could bet like 11 and then just ship. I think I'm just gonna bet like 10 and then and then ship the turn. Nah, I'm not. I don't think there's many flush draws and stuff in their ranges, so I'm actually just gonna bet like half pot and like make it fairly small. Like this way, I think we're more likely to encourage calls from the more likely hands in their range, such as like jacks or tens or queens or something. Ace queen's never going to fold anyway, like ace jack's never going to fold. If they don't have many flush draws, we're not really like gaining too much by trying to protect against stuff on a drawy board, because in a 3-bet pot there, our opponent's ranges are just going to be a lot less likely to contain flush draws. You know, they're not going to have like king jack suited and stuff like they have in a 2-bet pot most of the time. But I think it's probably better to give them some rope, give them some room, try and get called lighter by the hands that have 2 outs against us. I think that's a huge thing there, is to get called by those hands against weaker players, and I think we do if we size correctly. And then getting in future streets again, if we get like a safe turn, we can just go ahead and like bet like half pot again, shove river, and that way we sort of rope a dope type thing. Forgive the cliche, but these fish here, like they both seem like weaker players. I mean, if we can somehow get them to tilt call off just because the bets are so small with like jacks or something there, it's hugely plus EV for us. So I don't think there's any merit to betting that huge. This guy, he's opening like 1 out of 4 so far under the gun. I can set mine here. If we're not like that deep, I'm out of position. I don't really love it, to be honest. I don't really know if his undergun range is even all that tight, so I'm just going to fold for now with 6s. I think 7s plus I'd probably call. And if we were any deeper, like even sort of 130 big blinds deep, I'd definitely flat there too. Or if I had a read that his under the gun range was sort of very... I'm going to change him back to reg for now. If his under the gun range was very tight, then obviously our implied odds go up. Like here, I know this guy's really tight. I have 60 hands on him. He's never opened under the gun. This is a snap, and we have position, whereas we didn't before. So this is a snap set mine, whereas the hand before was sort of not at all. When he checks us, he's probably just check folding all the time. Again, with three-way here, we need to obviously bet this flop. I bet like 475, I guess. This dude raises to 12. I'm just jamming here, like get in with his flush draws now. We've got good equity. I don't think he's ever bluff raising. Like he can just have like jacks or tens here sometimes as well and stuff like that. He can also have bigger sets, but it's a small part of his range. So I think jamming is the only way to go there, and we'll take a note if he does raise fold. Okay, that's a really strange spot to bluff. I mean, I don't really like it. We'll say bluff raise for now, because it's usually against the reg there. That's going to be a bluff raise. He's not going to... A reg won't raise for information with top pair and then fold to a 3-bet, whereas a fish might do that. So I think we can be pretty confident just saying that he bluff raised that flop with like maybe a gut shot or something. Who knows what he had, but what's going on here? We open king 5, this guy 3-bets, not very much in the blind, so we'll just fold and keep an eye on him. I should have opened ace deuce there, because like this guy's tight, so we can't have the button, and that guy's a total nit. So do as I preach, not as I do. So that just means he bluff raises that board. versus a stab, so not a c-bet, a stab from someone who didn't have the initiative pre-flop as the pre-flop call of the PFC. So good note. Shows that he's definitely got some kind of game or ability to mess about. This is a kind of general note, probably daring with fold equity, etc. Just like when you see a guy do that, you just immediately get the information that he's not like a standard drone that's going to always fold in that spot. He's someone who's got imagination enough for it to at least cross their mind to play back at people in a lot of spots where most people wouldn't. And you know, I like the specific note, and it's always good to have a general note just to help me out if I don't play with this guy for a while and I don't remember that spot. And I don't have to read the top note and draw lots of conclusions. I can sort of look at the bottom one as well, and that can give me general information that I think is fairly accurate given what we've just seen. But we can adapt that as the session goes on, as we find out more things. As always, you know, ideas for new series is whatever, man. Whatever you guys want to see, let me know. Also, taking on students again now. A few people have contacted me since I've been back, and we're setting up sessions, so I've still got time for more. So, if anyone else fancies coaching 6 max, anywhere from 2 no limit to 100 no limit, I'm happy to coach 6 max, and I won't coach full ring. We have instructors that can do that, like Code Red or the other ones. But I'm happy to coach 6 max, and yeah, just PM me if you're interested, and if you've got any questions at all, and I'll obviously get back to you guys on it. But yeah, coaching's cool. Glad to be doing that again. Glad to be playing poker again. I also got a wall chart, man. On my wall, it's like it basically gives me an outline of the goals I need to achieve each day, and I look at it and sort of have to tick the boxes as I complete the goals. Like, so today I have to play 1,000 hands, make a 6 max video. Like I'm doing now, wash a load of laundry, get up at no later than 1 PM, and I was out last night with some friends, so that was kind of reasonable, and print out a sushi voucher for dinner tonight with a few friends. So those are my little list of objectives, and it's basically a way of motivating myself and making sure that I achieve my goals, both poker and school, and then in other areas of my life, and just that I'm not slacking. You know, I've been a pretty big underachiever for the last few years, and I think it's time to, time to sort that out and start living up to a bit of potential. So that's what the chart's for. It's pretty sweet. Good way to motivate yourself, man. Get like a whiteboard, and if you've got a goal to study / play poker X amount per day, stick it up there. Reward yourself with stars. Like, there's a reason that works in school, and if you still have problems with motivation or being a bit lazy as an adult, then get some gold stars. That's my advice. We'll see how it works out, but I think it should lead to an improvement in my volume and in my studying and just in my play in general. Should be good. Keep you motivated. You know, it's good to have an active lifestyle as well. I talk about this all the time, but you know, exercise, be active, don't laze about all day, don't like get stuck in ruts and routines. Do new stuff, man. Do new things and keep your mind open, and that helps your game like so much. If you're happy in life, you know, you play better. Poker is very, very closely correlated to, usually I defend here, but this guy's like so tight so far, and I don't really want to 3-bet this hand. It's like quite dominated by hands he can continue with, and I don't want to flat just because I might be like in terrible shape, so I just fold for now. Wouldn't usually fold a hand blind versus blind, but I think there it's pretty forgivable, and even the right play. So there's a strong correlation between poker and emotional well-being, and that's to say that if you're playing well, it usually means that you're in a good place in your life. You know, you're emotionally quite happy. Things are going well, and you're motivated. So keeping up your energy levels and keeping your lifestyle good is certainly going to help you out in poker. Here we open king queen. This is like such a horrendous board against this guy's range. Like, nails his range. All these pocket pairs, like suited connectors. Even like if he has ace queen, like so much of the time he has a club draw, he's not going to fold and things like that. And we have king high with no equity, so it's an easy check fold. Very easy check fold. His sizing here is kind of smallish, but I'm not going to mess about with no equity at all. And it's pretty much like the nut board to go ahead and check fold. This guy opens under the gun. We've been pretty active over the 48 hands I have with him, been 3-betting and stuff, so no reason to do anything. I don't like slow playing here. I think his range is tight. excuse me, his range is tight, and if I have the image of a 3-better, I want to exploit that by just getting as much money into the pot right now as I can. And again, my sizing just over 3x in position here is fine, like there or thereabouts. Wouldn't be making it like much more than that at all. Like people tend to 3-bet size of 3-bet's far too big in a lot of spots for no reason. So try and avoid like 4xing in position, because when you're 3-bet bluffing a lot, you need to be balancing your sizing so that your bluffs aren't costing you more than they have to. Like you usually have the same equity when you have position, especially fold equity that is, with a smaller 3-bet than you do with a bigger one, and you know, just do it with your whole range and stay balanced, and I think that's the optimal sort of 3-bet size like I spoke about. He 4-bets here, kinda just getting it in. He has queens plus ace king probably, something like that. I'm doing well against that. I jam. He has the other 2 kings, so we want black ones. Oh, spade. Sucks to be me. I'm going to take a note on his 4-bet sizing, that's always good. This guy's tight. I have 6s, I have position. These guys don't squeeze a hell of a lot from what I've seen, and this guy's tight, so they might not squeeze him. So, good spot to flat. Terrible board. He c-bets, we have no equity, we have to fold. Just don't mess about there. Like, you'll have hands you can mess about with in that spot that have flush draws, or, you know, well, you don't have many hands with equity on a flop like that, but there's a reason why we fold there, and that's just that his range is really fucking strong, basically. So it was brought to my attention that I swear a lot during my videos. I don't know, man. I'm sorry about that. Like, one of my students was like, "You swear loads, I love it," and I was like, "That's funny," because I hadn't noticed. But when I think about it, it's kind of just how I talk. So yeah, don't take offense to that, please. If I drop the occasional swear word, don't worry about it. Does this guy 4-bet? Because if so, I just want to go ahead and jam. Do I have a note? Min 4-bet what? I don't know what he min 4-bets. It's kind of aggro line to 3-bet jam here. But this guy's like a wreck. I've got loads of hands on him. Look at my 3-bet stat here. I look like a maniac. I think it's a good spot to 3-bet jam. Ace 9 suited has pretty decent equity as well, versus his not great equity obviously, but it's not terrible, and I think he's 4-bet bluffing here enough that 3-bet jamming is good enough, because I get enough folds immediately, and I also get enough folds when he actually 4-bets, so that's going to be good. Here, like, this guy, he 3-bets me from the hijack. He's not 3-bet yet at all. I don't recognize him either. 10s here, like, could defend. It's kind of marginal to defend, actually. But I do have position. I don't like 4-betting, getting it in without some more information here, really. I'll just fold for now. I think jacks would probably call. Like, it's that close. This guy checks by the turn. He probably has like a lot of 9s in his range, like stuff, or aces. That's just horrible. So he's just the sort of guy that likes to put money in the pot when he's behind, and then just check when he's ahead. Love those guys. They're fun to play against. And having a note that someone min bluff raises flops is just so good, because they're going to be doing it with so much air that you can just get away with like 3-betting flops as bluffs and things like that. And I mean, it depends what his range is, but usually he's just going to have so much crap in his range. Here, like, this half stack whale, like, we definitely just always 6s I don't like defending. Again, he's 3-bet before. I don't even know if his range is tight. We're only 100 deep. My price isn't good to set mine. It plays like shitpost flop on so many boards, and it's going to be bad to defend. He donks, like, snap raise. Raised to like sort of 550. 550? 525? And then we're just going to be getting this in on most board run out. It's going to be betting turn, betting river. He goes ahead and clicks it back at me. I'm not folding top pair to donk, like, in this situation at all. Like, yeah, it's kind of scary when he min clicks it back, but he can be doing this with like just queen X and shit like that as well. I think I'm not folding here, especially if there can be draws in his range and things. Oh wow, and then he could just be like awful at poker and be doing that. I think we'll change that to Spazzy Fish, because that's pretty ridiculous. I want a 4-bet bluff here. This guy isn't 3-bet ever, so that'd be pretty spewy. If he'd 3-bet a lot, King Queen's a beautiful hand to 4-bet bluff, because it has blockers to queens and kings, and ace king as blockers to 3 hands that are like part of someone's 3-bet value range 100% of the time. So as you can see from that, like, king queen, not hand to 4-bet bluff. cold 4-bet bluff. And also, if you can't flat a 3-bet with it, which often you can 4-bet bluff that too, if you're against aggro guys. But yeah, man, I want to go over the basics as well, because, you know, I talk about a load of stuff like 4-betting as a bluff and cold 4-bet bluffing and all these concepts, and a lot of that doesn't apply to micro stakes, and I'm aware of that. So just like have the solid game and go from there. You know, ISO a lot, c-bet, good boards to c-bet, and value bet, and be able to fold when people take lines that mean you're beat, and you're good. Those are the skills to work on: folding, c-bet selection, value betting. Become a master of value betting, and you soar through the micros. Like, I'm not even kidding. That's like the best way to go about it. Just make sure you value bet loads and loads. Total maniac on this table. It's pretty good. I would 3-bet bluff here. It's a nice hand to do it with, but look at my image, man. It's crazy, and it's not quite good enough that I want to jam over. Like, 3-bet and jam over 4-bets fairly often versus regs. If I think I've got a crazy 3-bet image, because I do 3-bet a lot, and I think that they're going to just 4-bet bluff me with any two cards because they don't really know what they're doing. I just jam over with hands with decent equity and kind of print money that way. So hopefully this summer's been good to you guys and you've been progressing in poker while you've been off work or whatnot. Good time to grind. And hopefully you've had a better summer than I have here, because all I've had is, and in America, like, I was in Vegas for 6 weeks. Of the 7 weeks I was away, I was in San Francisco and stuff as well, but weather in San Francisco is pretty cool, by the way. It's like really like pleasant all year round, so I kind of want to live there. It's full of crazy people, full of totally insane people, but it's an awesome city. And Vegas was so hot that I was just like melting. I'm used to like sort of 60, 50 degrees and like Fahrenheit, that is, and grey rainy skies, and I was in a desert, so I had the blistering desert weather, and then came back to this miserable stuff already. Like, winter is here hard in Scotland. It's already here. It's like the 13th of September today, and winter's like, hey, what's up? So that kind of sucks. Let me get some water. So this guy is obviously pretty dumb. We're going to take a note that he bet 3 bets, folds Queen 9 X. Let's say donk bet 3 bet, folds Queen 9 X, which is pretty ridiculous actually. I didn't expect to get a fold there, but like, I'm just not folding with top pair, and he can have like random queens in his range and then like some spazzer bluffs as well with that much money in the pot. Like, it is not my intention to ever raise fold for value when I'm readless. Here I really want to fucking squeeze, but sorry, I want to squeeze, but this guy is just going to call with anything, and I'm out of position, and he's going to jam over loads of my three. He's always going to jam over my c-bets, man. With like ace high, king high, he's going to jam over my c-bets so wide that when I flop queen high, I just can't c-bet and then call, because he's jamming like king 6 over me. So I have to call here. I'm never folding because he's so bad. If I flop like a pair, I'm like good, but especially top pair. But like, if I 3-bet there, this guy's going to fold all the time. This guy's going to call always, 100%, and then he's going to check the flop to me, and then I'm going to either have top pair, which I'm going to bet and get in, but that only happens a third of the time. Often less of the time actually. And then sometimes I even lose when I have top pair, although not that often. And then the times when I miss, like, I just can't c-bet because I just feel like he jams like all the time on me. That's a really annoying turn card, because this guy plays so much ace x and king x. He also plays random stuff as well. I expect him to bet like $3 here, and that'll mean, yeah, $4, and that means he has the nuts, because he'd just bet more if he didn't, probably, so I'm going to fold. It's a bad turn card, and I just expected his sizing to be weaker, to be smaller when he had a hand, because that's what these sort of guys do, just from experience. Just trust me on that one. Not always, but like a guy who like does stuff like crazy stuff on the flop usually is afraid of scaring people off when he doesn't have a hand, type thing. Here we flop top set. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm also happy when I get called. When he calls his flop, I don't think he's folding the turn super often. I'm a bet 6. I think he's going to have like a queen, or he's going to have a 10, and I don't think those hands are going to fold. And then on the river, he can have some draws here, but not enough. Obviously, we still need to be betting for value. What gets called by a queen and a 10? Something like 14. Seems about right to me. Want to get called by both those, and he has more 10s in his range than he has kings. So I'm going to time down a bit, and I'm going to bet 14, and hope to get looked up by ace 10, or whatever. He folds, he probably had like ace jack. Man, I've missed making videos for you guys. It's been far too long. I'm going to be doing 3 videos a month, back to the usual routine. I'm going to be doing 1 heads up video a month. I'm going to be doing 2 6 max videos a month. I have a heads up video coming out tomorrow, if you're watching this on the day this came out. Otherwise, it's already out, and you should have watched it by now. Or you should watch it after this, if you're... Yeah, I was having a discussion with a student the other day, and he said to me, man, like, what do you think about heads up? This was Grinder School member. He said, what do you think about heads up? Like, I get the feeling heads up is very important for 6 max, and it makes your overall game a hell of a lot better. Do you think I should be getting involved in it a little bit? Not necessarily because I'm going to play heads up, but just because it'll help my understanding of poker. And I said, yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, if you're playing, there's a lot of variance in heads up. It can be quite bad for your bankroll if you run bad. But what I said to him is, like, if you're playing 100 NL, which he's going to be soon, like, play some 50 NL heads up, because that way you're not risking, you're only risking like half a buy-in essentially every time you get a stack in, and your variance is much reduced and you still get a feel, and it's a softer game to sort of get your feet wet. 8-6 here. Let's make a little bit of a thin peel, but we have position, multi-way pot, very playable hand. Guy opened under the gun, he can be pretty tight there. The c-bet is 0 so far. Is it 0? Yeah. Kind of want a 3-bet there, but he's just going to jam over me like all the time. It kind of doesn't matter what your cards are here. Like, it's almost better to 3-bet with just blockers than it is with to 3-bet with strong, like, playable flushy type hands, you know, because you're not going to see a flop very often. He's not going to flat your 3-bet very often with these stacks. He's actually just going to be folding or jamming. This guy can be stabbing a lot of air. I have 8 high. I really want to make him just fold his ace high in hands like that, and this looks really strong when I do this 3-way. If I get shipped on, it really sucks, because I probably can't call because of all the better draws and things in his range. So that does suck. I'm just going to jam here, obviously. I've got some fold equity, and he just, like, sucks. And can be bet folding. Loads of stuff. And he just bet calls, pair of 8s. Alright. And makes trips. But we break the river, of course. And we get jammed on at table 3. Here I just think his range is sets and better draws, and I just don't have enough equity to call against that, unfortunately. I should probably make my flop raise a bit smaller there, because I'm not planning on calling it off, and I probably still get the same amount of fold equity. I got a shitty draw, basically. It's not a good spot to call it off in, but because I think that guy, when check 2, can stab like fairly wide there when the pre-flop raiser checks, I like to raise with 8 high, just because I don't think I can really win the pot too often on the turn when I'm missing stuff. And you know, my draw's not even so good that, like, I'm always thrilled on heart turns. I'd just rather go for the fold equity I have against the weaker part of his range, and then if I get jammed on, then I know my equity pretty much sucks, so I think it's okay to take the line I just took there. I've been running like absolute shit for the last like month, unfortunately. While I was in Vegas as well, like, it was crazy. I had like 2 weeks where every time I got money and I just expected to lose. It was like one of those downswings, so that sucked, and I came back and I've started where I left off, basically, like running like crap. This guy min raises. He looks like kind of ace putard, and this is like so dry. I'm gonna peel 1. It's pretty loose, but I mean, it's such a good price, and he can just do this with like anything. I can't call a turn bet though. It might be better just to fold in the flop. I have 5 outs and against better hands usually, and I just feel like he can do that with like so much stuff. But it does suck being out of position. I could 3-bet as well. 3-betting's probably better, because then maybe I get to fold out some middle pair hands, maybe some of the time. I don't really know if that's true, but possibly do. I can 3-bet the ace-8 here as a bluff and 3-bet fold, but I don't like that. I mean, I'd rather 3-bet call. I don't think it's quite strong enough to 3-bet call. However, for this price, I think I can flat. So it's one of the few times I'm going to flat with this sort of stack size. I'm not going to fold half pot c-bet against this guy with ace high, because it's just good so often on that board, and on brick turns he's going to just shut down. The reason I'm making this play is just because I feel like he's barreling that turn with all his air, and he's opened the button like super wide, and then he's going to be folding any air that he gets the turn with, and I don't want to commit myself with ace high or anything, so I just make a very small raise that should get folds from his really weak hands. But now he calls, I just think he has a jack all the time and he's never folding, so I'm just going to shut down. Kind of FPS, but I think it's pretty good in that spot actually. On the whole, like if you think about a guy that's opening so many buttons, think of all the terrible crap. Look at that, 100% out of 10 buttons. Like think of all that utter shit that's going to be in his range there. He's going to have a lot of crap in his range. And on that turn it's like another overcard. He's going to bet the flop with his whole range. He's going to bet that turn with pretty much all the air he bets the flop with. I'm clicking it back. I'm risking like not very much to win that pot. He's going to be folding most of the time because he has air, I think. So I like my line there. I think we just probably ran into top pair or something like that. I could 3-bet the jack 10, it's just my image sucks because I've just like taken a spewy line and then been a bit crazy. Not to say I think it would be horrible. A lot of regs actually, like you sort of level them by being aggressive just after you've been aggressive, and a lot of regs try this on you as well. It was like a big sort of craze on 2+2 for a while that when you 3-bet a guy you have to 3-bet the next hand because he just always believes you. I think those days have passed and regs are onto that now. But then it just goes to the next level, and then you can just like do it for value again. It's like poker's a funny game. Things go on waves and levels. Like 1 week everyone will be 4-betting, and the next week no one will be 4-betting because 4-betting's like so last week, and it's so stupid. Like, but if you pay attention to these like crazes, you can actually exploit them. Because people tend to just all do what they see other people do in videos without understanding it. So if a video comes out on some big site that gets lots of great hype, you know, in the 100 NL6 Max community, everyone's going to be doing the stuff advocated in that video, and it's like really easy to play against. So you can get some information basically from that. I don't open 7-5 on the button there just because I feel like 25-20 and the 29-26 with a high 3-bet so far are going to be punishing me a lot for opening too wide. So one of my adjustments is just to tighten up my button range a little bit. And we need to take a note on him that he don't calls all in mid pair, no kicker. But with my draw there, basically I have like 9 high at this moment, but over 50% equity against like all his range, so I need to just get it in, and then I can make him fold like king high, and then he's surrendering like 40% equity by folding king high, which is a good result. So that's good times. Another thing I'm working on this week in poker, one of my goals, is not to be results orientated at all. Enjoy the game for the decisions and for the puzzle that it is, and not to get pissed off. When I was in Vegas, guys, like I was getting kind of mad because I'd play bad and I'd tilt, and then my results would, you know, that would show that, and I'd run bad, and then every time I ran bad I'd be like, fuck my life, woe is me, I run so bad live. And it would just make me play really bad. I mean, it's silly. Like, you need to not get mad. You need to enjoy poker because it's a puzzle and it's a long-term gain. And it's like playing chess. It's like problem solving, and it's fun, and you should take it competitively, but you should take it competitively in the same way that you take any sport, and that's irrespective of the fact that there's money resting on poker. It's a sport just like tennis, right? So if you play like competitive tennis, and you lose a game and you go crazy and you start like the equivalent of this in tennis would be like someone serves to you and you just throw your racket at the net instead of actually trying to return it because you're tilted, right? Imagine that happened. Like imagine like Roger Federer or whatever was playing tennis, he lost the point because he made a mistake, then he went on tilt, and then his opponent would serve to him, and instead of like trying to hit the ball back, he just like fucking throws his racket into the crowd. That's not plus EV, and no one would do that. So I don't see why we have to tilt just because there's money on it. It's still a sport. It's competitive, and you get better at something by playing optimally, not by being an idiot. So, you know, it's easier said than done. But that's something I'm working on, just not tilting at all. I've been really good online actually for the last couple of years, but live I was a little bit tilty. So I don't want to tilt. I don't want to play bad just because I'm running bad, and I want basically my variance to be totally independent of the way I'm playing. This is a standard, just bet get it in over 3 streets. Again, in 3-bet pots in these spots, your opponent just doesn't have many sort of flush draws in his range at all. He can float here with like overcards as well, like things with jacks in them. You can also have queens or tens, or even 9x is possible if he has like 9-8 suited. So I'm going to bet turn and then just jam the river here. Time down a little bit and be bet calling this turn. Always bet calling because he'll be jamming on a drawy board like Jack X if he has it. Queens, possibly even tens. Certainly loads of draws. Snap call. Wow, talk about over adjustment, man. Like, talk about going crazy for no reason. This is what 50NL Rex do. They tend to think everyone's full of shit for absolutely no reason. He's probably seen like that I make videos or something, and he's like, "No letting this carrot guy mess with me, man. He's always full of shit because he's like a baller." And I'm like, whatever, man. Just have kings. I'm just gonna bet call over a few streets and see how you want to mess yourself up. Yeah, this is what they do at 50NL. They just wave. Sorry for the crudeness, but they just wave their dicks about essentially. It's like, I am alpha male, I am reg. I'm gonna mess with you. 6 is here. I'm just gonna call. I'm gonna let this guy spaz off. I'm gonna call like turn and river too, probably. Like, he's just an idiot. He's gonna go crazy with like ace high here probably because he thinks he has the nuts. I'm just gonna call down here. I could actually raise. I might raise the river if he bets. And it's so thin, but like, oh man, like he has so much ace high. That won't fold. Now I'm definitely betting against ace high. Like definitely. I'm at like 9. I'm gonna bet like, yeah, I'm gonna bet like 9. Make it like fairly big. I probably should have just raised turn and shove river for value. I mean, that sounds so sick, but like it's probably best. Do you fold to 4-bet, sir? Yes, so far. And you 3-bet like all day from the blinds. Are you going to fold if I 4-bet this time? Let's find out. One way to find out, right? He just folded to 2 out of 2. I mean, he probably thinks I'm full of shit here though. He's probably just going to jam on me. I don't know. That's all good. I mean, he's just 3-betting so much. And if he's really going to fold to all these 4-bets, then he needs to sort his game out because he's going to get absolutely killed. Maybe not at 50 no limit, but if he moves up to 100 and 200, he'll get totally killed by 3-bet folding so wide. If you're going to 3-bet wide, you got to be jamming as well, because people don't let you away with it these days. This is 2011. It's not 2004. People do not just fold to every 3-bet and then when they decide to adjust, they don't anymore just call and check fold to flop and they miss. Those were good days, but unfortunately those days are past. I'm gonna make my open here kind of big. I definitely want to open. I got loads of fish about. I make it like 250 because there's so much dead money in the pot, and I don't want to get like a 4-way pot or something. I want to isolate one of these fish, or even 2 of them, whatever. As long as I get a couple of fish. Hopefully this guy doesn't jam on me because that'll be annoying because then I have to fold. So yeah guys, let me know what videos you want to see. It's good to be back. So we isolate one of the fishes, and we get like the best board ever. So, and we're deep as well. So I made this pretty big. Get called by worse jacks, pocket pairs. I'm gonna bet 3 streets. Pretty standard. If I get raised at any point, it's likely gonna be a fold, but I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird if I get raised. 10 is a psychological barrier for a lot of people. When a second overcard comes out to hands like 6s, 7s, 8s, 5, he'll probably fold to 10. He might not fold to 9 because he just looks like a station. And he's never folding a jack, so I don't want to size so small and try and get called by like his underpairs when he has so many combos of random jack X because of all the stuff he defends. Like, screw that. There's 6 combos of a pocket pair. That's like a static hand, like that can only have 6 combos, regardless of how often someone plays it, because they usually just play it or they don't. A hand like Jack X, that can have like so many combos, because someone can play like Jack 2 through Jack 9 suited, and then like Jack 6 offsuit plus or some ridiculous shit like that. So that can have so many combinations. So you should target, like, when a fish has a really wide range, right? Here's like an awesome lesson, right? When a fish has a really wide range, it is definitely always weighted towards unpaired hands pre-flop. That means that when a Jack comes down on the board, you're going to see loads of top pair and air, way more often than you're going to see pocket pairs, because again, he just has more unpaired hands, right? So because of that, how wide do you open in middle position? 20%? Yeah, okay, let's do it. Queen 10 suited plays well. I have position. If he calls, I can be like, check back loads of boards, got loads of options, hand flops well. And yeah, I think he's folding here a lot. He's like quite a tight player. I've not been 3-betting in that table, thankfully, very much. Having every other table, but good spot for a 3-bet bluff. So what was I saying, right? So unpaired hands make up so much of Fish's range pre-flop. So when a card like a Jack or Queen or whatever comes down, they're going to have top pair way more often than they're going to have pocket pairs, and they're going to have air even more often than they're going to have top pair, right? But that means that when you're betting for value with a hand that beats top pair, like top pair good kicker, you need to be betting a size that top pair will call, right? And if you fold out under pairs, that's fine, because you're probably going to have to bet ridiculously small to get called by under pairs on a lot of streets like these pocket pairs, right? So you should just bet big and target top pair, because that's what their range is weighted towards, and that's what their range is made up of primarily, so when they continue on the flop. So that's why I size like 9 on the turn. And the reason I don't make it bigger is just because I give him the chance as well, because I think he is stationary. Like if I thought there was no chance he'd call with like 7s there, right, I would just make it like pot. But because I think he's a station, I want to leave the option open for him to call with like 7s while still making him pay a decent amount with top pair as well. So that's the reason for that sizing. See, it's all part of a plan. So yeah, remember that. It's a good little tip. Something people overlook. Fish have a lot of unpaired hands, therefore they flop top pair more than they flop pocket pairs. They flop top pair like a quarter of the time, and they have like unpaired hands like 6 times as often or something as they have pocket pairs, just because of the amount of combos they play. So think of it that way. And if you didn't get that, rewind it and listen again, because I do think it's a pretty cool little concept, and it's one that's probably obvious to a lot of you, but I think it's worth mentioning. I'll always see bet ace deuce 3. I don't care. It's just like the best board ever. So yeah, give me ideas, and I'm kind of short on ideas right now, unfortunately. Queen Jack is squeeze or fold. I'm not flying here with Queen Jack offsuit with terrible position against regs, and it's going to be a fold. This guy probably folds loads to squeeze, but this guy is a complete retard, as we've just seen from his crazy adventure with his ace-x. Okay, I'm going to sit out, then I'm going to wrap up the video, and I'm going to play some more hands, because I need to do a bit of 8 tabling, because I need to put in my hand quota for today. If I try an 8 table while I talk to you guys, unfortunately it's going to go disastrously wrong. And remember, I don't care how this session went, because what I'm preaching right now is not being results orientated. Ace 10 suited is a lovely hand multi-way. Flops nut flushes. Flops a lot of good stuff. It's dominated somewhat by this dude's opening range under the gun, but that's okay, because often he's going to have to play quite honestly multi-way, and we can actually, we don't need to feel like we're being exploited. And if we flop top pair, we know we're not going to be stacking off like 3 streets or anything. Like, this is like pretty easy bet. I expect to take this down most of the time. If that guy messes with me, I don't know if I believe him on this board. It seems ridiculous to check raise and overpair here, but some people will check raise like aces with a heart, but I don't know how often really. I don't want to get check raise though, just because it's like even like all his range has equity against me basically. Like he's assuming he isn't doing it with total air, so like every time he has like the ace of hearts or something, he's got plenty of equity. I expect just to take this down like every time here. But sometimes this guy will call with eights with a heart or whatever, and or worse 10, and that's always good. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly enjoyed making it. It's good to be back at Grinder School. Hit me up if you want coaching, hit me up for video ideas, and I'll see you all very soon. Good luck at the tables.